Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Welcome to episode number 64 of the Monday Money Tip Podcast. My name is Joe Sangle, and I'm excited to bring this podcast to you each and every Monday, hopefully helping you take a next step in your money journey, because money is a journey, not just one moment. Today, I'm so excited about the topic of the podcast today. First, let me welcome my co-host, Megan Hibbard.
Hello.
Are you fired up about today's topic?
Fired up
Yes.
about becoming a millionaire.
Yes, that's it. We're talking about being a millionaire.
Have this song in your head?
I want to be a billionaire.
Okay, so our feature question for today is it really possible for me to become a millionaire? If so, can you share some ways to become one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good question.
I don't think
Answer is
anybody's
yes
saying no.
and yes, and we're going to have a lot of fun with that. But first, before we dive into that, it is one of my favorite moments of the podcast. We know what time it is. Let's go.
Now it's time to get caught up with our current money events.
This portion of the Monday Money Tip Podcast is sponsored by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. Utilize the Debt Freedom Date Calculator to determine when you will be debt-free. It will provide vision for your future and fuels to power you towards financial freedom. Visit the website iwbnin.com, click on Tools, and select Debt to find all the debt calculators. And the best part, all the tools are free.
Yes. And for today's current money event, I am excited to talk about some debt. Are you excited about that? We'll talk about some stats.
Stats.
We're going to talk about some stats. It's going to be great. I'm acting like a doctor here.
Oh.
And we're going to talk about some data that was provided from August 2019 by Value Penguin. Isn't that awesome? Value Penguin. It's a website. We'll have a link to this.
I would say, what is Value Penguin?
And it's a value penguin. It's a very valuable penguin at value prices. It's probably sold at Aldi.
They sell everything. Have you
they
noticed?
sell penguin?
I
want
don't know if they
emperor
sell
penguin.
penguins, but I really think somehow they know exactly what I want.
Yeah.
And we've had to stop going down. There's one aisle.
They sell stuff that's not even related to food.
And
It's
I've
hilarious.
had to stop going down that aisle
It's
because
so good.
every time Jordan, like me and Jordan are like, oh, we need this.
Yeah.
We need this. We had to stop.
It's
It's great though because I really do need it.
usually value priced.
And it's great. Yeah.
So, according to this latest report issued in August 2019 by the Valuable Penguin, the average American household debt is $5,700. So, we're looking at credit card debt is what this really means. The average American household debt, this is credit card debt, is $5,700. And the average for balance carrying households is $9,333. Is that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
So, they divide it being amongst all American households, but not all American households have credit card debt. So those that have it, $9,333. And if you have that, you need to surf that to 0% balance transfer cards. And that's the episode before this,
Yep,
episode number 63. So check it out
We'll link that for
in
you.
the podcast. And total outstanding U.S. consumer debt right now is $3.9 trillion. The total revolving debt, which is credit card debt, is $1.03 trillion.
With a T.
Get fired up. So about 25% of the debt is credit card debt. 41.2% of all households carry some sort of credit card debt.
That's a lot.
That's 4 out of 10. That's why we do what we do, is to
Yeah.
help people not do that. Life happens, and if you don't have savings, if you're not at least on rung 2 of the ladder and have at least a month's worth of money saved up, you're going to fall into debt. And you just can't win if you keep falling into debt. And then households with the lowest net worth, zero or negative net worth, they hold an average of $10,308 in credit card debt, which is further proof
Wow.
that if you have no margin, you will lose margin. And you will live on the margins of life. And we don't want that for anybody. And no one should have to do that if they make wise decisions with their education, with their time, and their commitment to work and be decent citizens. Most people can dig out of that, and with some right financial decision making, can be very, very well off in short order, way shorter period of time than most people think.
This next point's interesting.
Now, they looked at where people are at geographically,
Yeah.
and so share that with everybody.
All right, so the Northeast and West Coast hold the highest average credit card debt, both averaging over $8,000.
Yeah, that's interesting. So think about New England and the West Coast highest average credit card debt, both averaging over $8,000.
Do you think it's just because of cost of living?
I think it's
everything
because of
is
cost of
more-
living. That's my guess. I don't know that for a fact.
It's interesting.
Now, there's another statistic that was interesting. We have a chart of this, I think, but it had credit card debt based on your age. And so it's interesting. And they kind of have them in 10-year groups. They say basically less than 35 years old, and then in 10-year groups all the way up to age 65. So they say less than 35 years, $5,800. 35 to 44, $8,200. 45 to 54, $9,100. And then it starts to decline. 55 to 64, $8,100. 65 to 69, it's a 5-year period, $6,900. Then the next 5-year period is 70 to 74 years, $6,500. And if 75 and over, $5,600. Isn't that crazy? So one of the things I think is very interesting when you pay attention to that is why would the biggest debt be when you're 45 to 54? A lot of times I would submit that 35 to 44 and 45 to 54, that 35 to 54 are the two largest ones, probably because you got kids in the house and headed to college.
You got to buy all the things.
People are buying all the things and they haven't planned for that.
Yep.
And they also probably have more confidence in their income. They probably have larger incomes during those years. Those are money-making years. They've established a career.
They feel okay about swiping.
They feel okay about a little bit more debt.
Yeah.
Now, the average credit card debt in America is also very interesting. As you might understand, when it's correlated to household net worth, those who have the largest net worth have the largest credit card balances, except for those who have negative or zero. They exceed them all. Crazy, isn't it?
That is crazy.
And so I really encourage you to think about that. When you look at your income, what is the relationship of that as a percentage of your income? And so is it 1%, 2%, 4% of your income? That's kind of alarming when you look at it. And so we're going to include a link to this from Value Penguin for average credit card debt. They update it monthly. And that's super important as you're looking at your own life with credit card debt. I just encourage you to not carry any credit card debt. Pay it off every single month, and I think you'll have a much better life and a lot less stress. Before we finish this great current money events section,
Oh, yes.
I want to give an update on something that I'm super excited about. What is it?
Your new book.
My new book. I've been writing a new book, and there's about 37,000 words scribbled down on paper. And it's been printed out several times and been submitted to a lot of rough edits and hard edits. And now we're in the final typesetting and headed off to the proof print.
Woo.
So proof print means that it's pretty much ready to go, but we're going to look at it in the actual book form to make sure there's nothing that needs changed. We still have time to make some changes, but it kind of costs us some money now to make some changes. And so pretty soon, we're actually going to have a ship date. We will know when we will have books, and that means we'll be able to begin pre-sales. So we're super fired up about it. And maybe in the next couple episodes, we'll reveal the title of it. So super excited to be able to bring that book to you. And as I've shared on previous episodes, we're connecting dreams to your dollars. And so to give you a little snapshot of that, what I'm trying to do is a lot of people have big dreams, and they can't fund it with their regular income.
Right.
And they basically give up on their dream because they don't see a way to fund it out of the regular income. And so I am trying to help people understand that there are many other ways that you can fund your dream beyond your regular income. And I list practical ways you can do this. I have examples in there of how people have done it. And I also have about 22 questions that you can ask yourself, and if you're married with your spouse, to go through to try to assess what are the biggest dreams of your life, how to get them written down. My bride and I got away for a 3-day trip to Charleston in May, and we actually asked these questions of ourselves. And what I found out is this book is going to require some serious reflection, personal reflection. It also can't be done just in one sit down. It's going to require layers. And I know that doesn't seem like a very big selling point because we're in a microwave generation. We want it now. We want it fast. We want it super easy. But if you only have one life, I think it's probably worth putting in the time, energy, and effort to really consider what are your biggest dreams and how can we get them funded. And so I really am excited for how the book has turned out and can't wait to be able to put it in people's hands because we've only talked about what to do with money, how to manage money.
Right.
We've talked about the outgo side, how to manage that. This one's going to actually talk about how to generate some income outside of your regular income to be able to fund those bigger dreams in your life. And that fires me up. So we can work on both sides of the equation, income and outgo.
Yep.
Equals exactly zero, trademark.
Maybe when we share the title, we'll share what the cover will look like.
Yeah.
But only on
We should do
YouTube, so you'll have to watch.
Only on YouTube for the podcast.
Yeah.
Listen, you guys podcast listeners, you're our most loyal listeners, most loyal followers. We want you to be the insiders. So maybe, just maybe, in the next couple episodes, you'll get to see that. Fired up.
That'll be exciting.
That's it for today's current money events section.
All right. So for our success story today, it comes from David. And David lives in Florida. And here we go. Okay. This month of August was a rough month. Kids going back to school. I started back to finish my college degree. Unexpected expenses sprouted up like weeds. We blew the budget out of the water. But due to our commitment to budgeting and keeping our savings up by following the ladder, we will not incur any new debt. That's awesome. This would have been impossible prior to budgeting. What normally would have been high stress and probably an intense discussion, you know, those quotation marks, intense discussions, or two, ended up being, oh, well, we'll just adjust for the next couple of months and be fine. Thank you a million. David. David is from Florida.
From Jupiter, Florida. Isn't that awesome?
From Jupiter, Florida.
Yeah. That fires me up. And so I always like to comment on this, but David, fantastic. Number one, you've recognized there's a rough month. You don't have rough months. In fact, recently you had Hurricane Dorian scrape past Jupiter. It could have been much rougher. So we're glad that you guys are safe and really praying for the Bahamas. Man, they got wiped out a lot.
That's bad.
But here's what I want you to know. Unexpected expenses show up. We never saw it coming. Those things happen. And you acknowledge that. And that's why it's so important to have savings. And you just acknowledged it very clearly. It says because you've committed to budgeting, because you've committed to going up the ladder, you've built that margin, that wall of savings, and it absorbs surprises and financial blows like this so that you can still prosper and focus on long-term dreams. And, when you don't have money saved, you have two problems. You have a money problem and the problem. Because you had money saved, you only had the problem. That makes it so much less stressful. And so thank you a million, David, for being a listener and for sharing your success story. You're inspiring many, and you've inspired us today. And this podcast is fueled by success stories like yours. Thanks for sharing it. We're so fired up for you.
Okay, so now to the moment you've all been waiting for, our featured question. So our question for today is it really possible for me to become a millionaire? If so, can you share some ways to become one?
Yes.
Ready?
Yeah, I really feel like we should have the music from Regis.
Regis, yeah.
Yeah, Philbin. Who wants to be a millionaire? You remember that?
Yeah, he doesn't do it anymore.
No, he doesn't do that for like 20 years. I think I've dated myself. It's awful. But who wants to be a millionaire? I think it is funny. There's a great quote. We don't have it for this episode that says, everybody knows that money doesn't buy happiness, but everybody wants to try it at least once. Right?
That's kind of funny.
That everybody knows. Everybody knows that money does not buy happiness. I was just watching an audience of people that are millionaires. The vast majority of people in the room are millionaires. I mean, for real, legit millionaires. No one looks happy. They all look angry and frustrated. But I'm winning and I'm frustrated about it. And I was like, man, good grief. It's proof again, money cannot buy happiness. And so one of the things that I just wanted to say before we started this is you have to have a bigger why of why you want to be a millionaire. You have to have the bigger dreams of your life, living a generous life, living a life beyond yourself, these dreams that bless your family, bless those that are around you, bless the many and bless the multitudes. That is the reason. Those are the things that can power you to be a millionaire for the right reasons. If your reason for being a millionaire is so you can use it for power and authority and to exert, weird things over people, it's a negative thing, and it will not buy long-term happiness. So it's just been proven over and over and over again. It will feed the greed. And so you got to know your why. And so I'm assuming that if you're listening to this episode, you know your why, and it's not to be greedy and a selfish, greedy person. It's just and an envious and all that stuff. Does that sound like a good deal?
Yep.
Is that a good deal? All right, we're making this deal with everybody. And so here's the answer. It's absolutely possible to be a millionaire. Not only is it absolutely not just possible, but probable. Here's the big word.
If
If you follow some general guidelines. And there are many ways to build wealth. There really are. But here are some proven ways to get there. So share the first one with us, Megan.
The first one is invest consistently, keyword, over long periods of time.
Okay, so this is so huge, and this is why I feel like they should teach this stuff in schools. If you got kids in school or grandkids in school, start teaching them this now and help them form this good habit of investing on a consistent basis early in life. Help it be part of their habit because, number one, we've never met with somebody in our office who said, Joe, I've just saved too much money for college and I've saved too much money for retirement. Help me please stop saving and investing. I've never heard that. That'd just be weird, right? So get started. And it's proof, $100 a month at a 12% growth rate for 38 years and 8 months is $1 million. $100 a month. Start at 20, get to 58, about 59, you're going to be a millionaire. About there. That's about where the market has been, almost 12%. It's been a little short of that. 11.41% compound annual growth rate since January 1941, to be exact. But $200 a month. You can do $200 a month. Everybody listening to this podcast could do $200 a month.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody. I mean, you have to give up some. Some of you could do that in your sleep. Like for real, like you could sleep. And $200 does not change your life at all. Others, it will require some sacrifice. But everybody listening to the podcast, I believe you can do this, $200 a month. If you do that 8% growth rate for 44 years, so start it at 20, go to 64, and 5 months. 44 years, 5 months, you have $1 million. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
Seems doable.
Oh, yeah.
It's absolutely doable. But what if you could do $500 a month? And you got 12% growth for 38 years. Well, it'd be kind of like $5 million. What if you could do $1,000 a month? Okay, now
It's getting a little crazy now.
A little crazy, but that'd be 10 million, but only 10 million. Okay, and so that's crazy. You know, one of the great wealth producers is the fact that America developed a system that standardized the ability to invest in mega corporations and good ideas. Small corporations have become great corporations, large corporations, because people chose to gamble money and invest in them. And the company sold off portions of itself and shared the profits and the growth with the owners, which were the shareholders who invested and risked their money for it to grow. Things like Twitter and Facebook used to be very small, nothings. And, you know, Facebook at least has become profitable. And Twitter recently became profitable in an unbelievable turn of events. Apple had very little money. And I actually write about this story in my new book coming up here about, you know, everybody talks about, you know, Steve Jobs and Wozniak, but they don't talk about another fellow. And he was Apple employee number 3. And for a mere investment of 80 grand in equity and 170 grand in a loan, 250,000, he became a 1/3 owner of Apple.
Wow.
He's been able to give away billions and billions and billions of dollars because of that one decision. Huge gamble. Paid off for him.
Oh, yeah.
And so of course, his growth rate has been much better than 12%. Another way to do this, so we talked about investing consistently over long periods of time. Many of you do that. How do you do that? A Roth IRA through your company 401k, retirement plan. You can do it in your own trading account. I like Schwab.com. Of course, E-Trade, Share Builder, TD Ameritrade, Ally Invest, all of those things. And we have some links to those under the investing section of our Next Steps area. So invest consistently over long periods of time. Tell everybody a second way to do this.
All right. A second way is to invest a large chunk of money early in life.
Okay, so if you get a chunk of money, I said chunk. Isn't that neat to say, chunk?
I think of a chocolate chunk cookie.
Yeah.
Right now,
so
it's like
this is
mid-afternoon.
almost as good as a chocolate chunk cookie.
It's mid-afternoon. You kind of hitting that low. You need something.
Chick-fil-A chocolate chunk cookie. Yeah.
Ooh, we might have to go.
But if you invest $8,500, if you got $8,500, maybe it's an inheritance from a grandparent that passed away. Maybe you sold an old car, whatever it is. Got a signing bonus for work. I don't know what it is. $8,500 at 12% growth rate for 40 years. That's $1 million. One-time investment. Never gave any more money towards it. $8,500, one time. I mean, I'll tell you right now, if I'd have known this when I was 20, I would have figured out how to get $8,500 invested. For real.
Yeah.
How much easier would that be? That's crazy.
Or if you do 1 and 2.
Yeah. And then number 2 is if you invested $41,250 at 8% growth rate for 40 years, it's $1 million. Yeah. Now, something I wanted to really look at that is The second one that I shared is 5 times the size almost. 8,500 versus 41,250. And they're both for 40 years. They both equal $1 million at the end. The difference is what? The growth rate,
yeah.
the rate of return. And it brings me to a hugely important point. Your rate of return on your investment matters hugely, hugely. 8,500 invested at 12% is the same as 41,250 invested at 8%. The difference is 4 percentage points per year.
Yep.
And so I wanted to speak to this because many people are fearful of the risk of investing. But by not taking any risk, you have little chance of funding the biggest dreams of your life. You have little chance of giving outrageously. You have little chance of leaving a monstrous inheritance to your children's children. And I want you to be able to do all those things. Of course, I want you to teach those children's children how to manage the money. And I don't want you having to sleep with one eye open because they know they're in the will, right? As one person wrote in their will to my dear niece, Laura, I forget what her name was. I'm going to say it was Laura. But this was a real will that one of my friends had as an attorney prepared. It says, "You wanted to be mentioned in my will. You are mentioned. Have a nice day."
Oh, my goodness.
Yikes. Anyhow, but most people experience huge rates of return when they launch businesses, when they invest in real estate, or invest in the stock market. That's where they can experience hockey stick improvements. And those moments that are like, my goodness, I never saw that coming, but that's a positive, I never saw that coming. And so I really think that it's important to understand the risk that you take is very important. You've got to take some risk. You will not get there putting it in a bank. It definitely won't get there saved in your mattress. And the second thing that matters is time. Time matters a lot. So what do you do if you don't have 40 years? I've been talking about 40 years, but I know what's happening. Somebody's driving their car. They're 51 years old, and they're mad at me right now. That Jew's saying, I'm going to turn off this podcast. He's talking about all those young people. I'm old. Is this able to work for me when I'm old? Well, I want to answer that question for you. The answer is yes, but you got more work to do. And you've got to invest more. If you're 50, get after it. You're 60, it's time to go. Like, now move. And it's why it's so important to rid yourself of debt. Because if you get rid of your car payments and you get rid of the boat payment, four-wheeler payment, the furniture payment, I owe mom and dad payment, credit card payments, student loans, all those things leave. You free up, it does two things. It frees up that payment money, which allows you to invest it, but it also lowers your cost of living. If you get to retirement, you have no debt, including your house, your cost of living is probably about 40% of what it was when you had the debt.
Wow.
So any dollar that you have saved will go more than twice as far. That's powerful to understand. So suppose you're 50 years old, life's happened somehow or another, your retirement fund is exactly zero, and you don't like it. So here's what you should do. You should focus on paying off all your debt. What I'm really saying is climb up the ladder. Pay off all your debts, your car, your student loans, credit cards, furniture, truck, all of it. And watch this. Let's say you free up $2,000 a month. The kids are out of the house, right? And if they're not, and they're 30 and they're in your house, kick them out. For real. They need to leave. There's a good place to go to work and out of your house. Those are the two places they can go. And as they said on ESPN a lot when I grew up, you don't have to go home, but you got to get on up out of here, right? But if you did that, you could free up a lot of money. Let's say it's $2,000 a month. For 20 years at 12%, you'll have $1 million. So at 70, you'll have $1 million. And if I'm wrong and you have $721,000, are you going to call me and complain?
No.
I will take that phone call in Aruba.
In Aruba.
And so it's very important to think about this. The key is get started today. Eliminate expenses out of your life so that you can invest the difference. The Duggar family, you know, the 18 kids and counting family.
Yes.
They have a thing, a motto. It's a family motto that says, buy used, save the difference. I like to use a different word. Buy used, invest the difference. Get rid of debt, invest the difference. That investment is different than saving. Saving is for safekeeping. Investing is for growth and funding the biggest dreams of your life. So what do you do if you don't have lots of money to start investing? Get started with what you have and push yourself to invest more each and every month. And focus on that debt elimination because every payment you eliminate will lower that cost of living. It's going to in turn allow your money to last longer. And then minimize your taxes. As you invest, utilize all the tax advantage options available to you. 401k, 403b, IRA, Roth IRA, 457, 1031 exchange, also known as the Stark exchange for real estate. and small business tax breaks can all help you. And so I really encourage you to think about these as you plan for your retirement. We have a retirement calculator. We'll actually have 3 of them provided in the show notes. And they're fantastic for helping you estimate how much money you need, and also will help you understand whether or not you're on track. If you're not on track, it'll tell you what you need to do to get on track. So with that, Megan, do you have Megan's inspirational moment?
Yes.
We started it last episode.
We
Megan's
did.
Inspiration Corner.
I know, I should have been prepared. But my inspirational moment, corner, if you will. I feel like I need soft music in the background.
Yeah.
Is
Ding, ding, ding.
imagine what would happen if you did number 1 and number 2. If you invested $100 a month for 38 years, and if you happen to come across a large chunk of money, even if it's, maybe a tax refund, we didn't necessarily talk about that. I don't know who's getting an $8,000 tax refund, but maybe. Or maybe you save it for a few years and then you put that chunk in there. But you do both of those, that's $2 million right there. So a one-time investment or $100 a month easily could take you to $2 million.
I love what you're saying. You're really saying bite-sized pieces.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so we do need music.
We'll get some
Megan's
music.
Inspiration Corner. The MIC. The MIC.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And so that's it for today's podcast. We're going to preview next episode. And what are we going to talk about with our next episode?
Did you skip the quote? Yeah, no quote. Quote's no good. Okay, our next episode is going to be the top money questions. So I can't believe we're already at the end of September. Not sure where September went.
Fall is here.
Fall is here. So for our next episode, we're going to be talking to your top money questions. So this is where we take time to answer your personal finance questions that you've asked. So as we do with the last episode of each month, we'll cover a large variety of topics. It's usually a great time. We have a lot of fun. We try to do rapid fire. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But if you have a question, make sure to send that in because it's not too late and we can answer your question. So yeah, it'd be great. And if you liked today's episode, please help us get this podcast to others who could benefit. Make sure you leave us a rating and a review below. That would be awesome, and it would help make us better. And then also, if you have questions, like we're talking about for this last Monday of the month, make sure you send those in. You can email them. You can send us to them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any of that. If you email us, send them to info@iwbnin.com, and you could be featured on the podcast. And if you've implemented one of our tips, make sure you share your success story with us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so my encouragement to you today is to look at how much you have accrued for your retirement. Look at the amount of money you've saved up in your investments that are outside of retirement and figure out what needs to be adjusted to get on track. Take a look at the calculators we've included with this episode's show notes. They will be very helpful for you. Answer 5 easy questions that you probably already know the answers to. They will set you up for success, and you will have already done something positive at the start of the week for your money. Until next week and next Monday, this is Joe Sangle saying stay fired up, and let's all be millionaires. Get fired up.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.